A lot of news yesterday. Market digested the information. We rallied and not giving it back. CES. Highlights, lowlights, a few surprises. A serve robot, I heard that got on the stage. We'll talk about Nvidia and AMD, what went on at CES. Kenny Glick battling the flu bug, that wicked flu bug, but he's going to join us at 8:25, give us 10 minutes of his interpretation of the markets. Let's get it going on pre-market price.
The volatility right now is really incredible.
Wow, look at that consolidation on the upper right chart.
You know what we've seen this earnings season? Some of these expected moves get even more violent. And this is why I have switched my strategy 10 years ago. And if you're chasing, you're in trouble.
As mentioned, strong day yesterday, not giving it back. We're up about 4.25 handles, 69.48. Still like in a trading range here. The buck strong again, up 17 cents, 98.15. TLT in the red, 33 cents, 87.13. USO giving back some of those gains from yesterday. No, USO was in the green, 28 cents at 70.50. GLD, SLV continuing their march higher. In Bitcoin coming up near that top of the trading range since mid-December, down a few $100 at 94,209. Charts brought to you by TradeStation, born to trade, chart, analyze, customize, all-in-one platform. Let's bring on Triple D, who is monitoring the crazy after-hours action. Triple D, we got a lot to cover on today's show.
Well, the other person monitoring the after-hours action was our own Brentster here as well. And let's bring him in here as well, too, because there was breaking news all over the place. CES was going on live. So in our after-hours STN show, Brentster's got to watch all the news wires. I'm trying to watch CNBC to see what's happening there. And the CES, we're trying to watch Nvidia, Jensen Huang, as, you know, robots are dancing on stage. And we're trying to just get as much information to our traders as possible. And there was a pile of trades last night to be had. There was a pile of information coming at us. Ratings galore here this morning too. So there's still a pile of information to digest here. But probably the biggest thing, you know, going on right now, obviously, is CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas. We've talked about it. We were previewing it yesterday. I mean, maybe you should bring up our preview again here as we get into this conversation here, Brent, but maybe a quick recap of, you know, everything that was yesterday. I can go through it if you want. You can talk a little bit about it. Up to you.
Yeah, let's go through Nvidia real quick. We'll go through AMD. So some highlights from Jensen Huang presentation at CES. Talked a bunch about AI. Talked about autonomous vehicles and how Nvidia fits in there. Jensen Huang basically presenting what he and Nvidia want to do with vehicles as thinking cars. This is very interesting. We had a couple of movers on that. We can jump back to that in just a sec, but let me go through some other ones. Physical AI was talked about a bunch. Robots on stage, as you said, I think, Dennis, there was a little image. Let me just share it here while I got it. This is what we saw on stage. Remove this one, add this one. This is what we saw on stage. Jensen Huang highlighting autonomy in some of these mechanisms here, these devices. We have a Caterpillar tractor on there. I think there's a Cummins CMI tractor on there. Over in the bottom right corner, front row, there's a little Serve Robotics delivery.
That. Did he bring up a cup of coffee or something? Or
I was like Dennis was saying, there was a lot happening in the moment while Jensen Huang was presenting, but I'm pretty sure he like pointed at the little Serve bucket robot and said like, "Oh, we love Serve. I love Serve." So
and the stock popped 4% when he said that. It came back down, but it was
an
instant 4% pop, which we took advantage of in the STN room because we thought that there might be something with Serve Robotics in there, and there was. So that was good. I'm still long it too, by the way.
Absolutely. Somebody said that there was they saw Optimus in there somewhere, so it's not like Tesla was totally devoid.
No.
The big announcement, in my opinion, from Jensen Huang and Nvidia was their new chip pod. They're calling it a pod because it's like multiple chips. It comes in a rack. It's called the Vera Rubin. Vera Rubin was an astronomer. They named this product after her. This is their next gen chip. This is what Jensen Huang spent a lot of the presentation about. So now let's jump back to some of the movers here. So when Jensen Huang and Nvidia were talking about autonomous vehicles, Tesla most definitely was moving lower on this.
Yeah,
Uh,
the
the
robo-taxi comments. So
yeah,
Jensen Huang came on and said that they're looking to test, NVIDIA's looking to test robo-taxis in 2027. Now that's still over a year away,
of
but that
course.
had it moving lower too.
It's
So
the the effort that Nvidia seems to be putting into this. They want to be at the center of these
everything,
thinking cars.
yeah,
Yeah, everything, not
everything.
just thinking cars, but all the physical AI, all
Yeah,
the new chips.
correct.
Uh, so after Jensen Huang got done with this presentation, and this is a little tip, folks. This always happens. Same thing with Apple. Same thing with other presenters at CES when their presentation is concluding, the companies coordinate press releases to hit the press release wires. And so there were press releases from NVIDIA coming out during Jensen Huang's presentation while he was getting done going over like autonomous. There was an autonomous press release right after that. There was a Vera Rubin press release when the presentation concluded. There was a bunch of fluffy press releases that hit the newswire after NVIDIA was done with the presentation. CoreWeave, SMCI, and Cerence, CRNC. These companies did the old trick where they issued press releases saying they're going to be using NVIDIA chips. The stocks did get pops on them. In my opinion, those were all fluffy press releases. The one press release that was material, though, was from AEVA, and this is one of your big movers at overnight. AEVA is a lidar company, and they're going to be integrating with NVIDIA's platform for its effort on autonomy and autonomous vehicles. AEVA shares trading up a good few bucks here on that press release and that news.
Up 24%. That was also one that was on our list last night and one that we bought at the close yesterday too. So just for the overnight trade, and I probably keep trading this one, although it looks like it's had the move here now. There's been some really good trades. I mean, these are anticipatory trades. We know these companies are there. They've told us they're there, and we don't know when they're coming out or when they're going to release press releases. But just being long some of these companies is really paying. We know Mobileye is supposed to be presenting something today as well. It's trading higher. It also caught an upgrade here. I mean, nothing is 100% ever in trading. You're always working in percentages. But when you have a list of companies that are there at CES, it's likely that some of these companies might get a lift sometime during the week. Rich Tech Robotics was another one we've been playing. Obviously moving higher here as well this morning. And then one that I had, a small one I had, was ARBE. We haven't heard much from them, but it's been moving up. It's up here again this morning as well. I talked about this one yesterday, moving up again. I'm just buying and selling it. As you're getting in, it dips back, and just trading it from the long side. And you can do that. You can trade it with a bias from the long side when there's catalysts all over the place here. Takeaways for me too. And Brentster, maybe we'll show on the screen, just show like we're the other or slide that
Sure,
we put together here.
sure.
Intel did present yesterday, and it's a moving target. So I mean, we're trying to grab information. We know these companies are there. Originally, Intel we thought was supposed to present today. It presented yesterday. They were sponsoring multiple presentations today, so they may have some more to say. But the big three yesterday were Nvidia, Intel, and AMD. And then, today we've got Qualcomm as their key site. And again, the times of these presentations are tricky too. We know Caterpillar presents Wednesday, and that's been, if you bring up the chart of Caterpillar here, Joel, this one's been honestly incredible running into CES. So it started moving Friday when it went from 575 to 599, then tacked on another 20 points yesterday. And this is autonomous equipment trade. That's what you're seeing happen here with Caterpillar on that right chart. You can really see it. The last 2 days, the huge green bar. It's there. It's presenting Wednesday. And Jensen Huang was saying, they're going to make the biggest, robots, robotic equipment out there. And like we were saying, think about an autonomous excavator. I mean, it's just a cool thought. So you don't think about Caterpillar as an AI trade, but that is what is happening here. The stock is at all-time highs, and people are thinking about it as an AI trade. So all kinds of trades to be had here.
Wanna just jump back to a couple other movers in the physical AI section for Nvidia: CDNS, Cadence Design, and also Synopsys SNPS. Both of those got mentions by Jensen Huang when he was talking about physical AI. Those stocks also moved. With the Vera Rubin, this is kind of the big news out of the Nvidia presentation. So they did a few innovative things with this. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but they removed from this chipset. There's like two main chips. There's a bunch of other secondary chips. It all sits in this dock, and in this dock, this chassis, Nvidia removed all of the cables, all of the fans, and all of the hoses. These are all like direct connections. They are basically, he said basically we're going to be able to cool our processors without using cold water. We can actually use warm water to cool some of these processes that are happening. And Dennis, you kind of had this idea. You're like, well,
Yeah,
this can't
I'm
be
like,
good
this
for
bad for Vertiv.
this can't be
Right
good
on
for
the
Vertiv.
money. Like I'm thinking Vertiv's going down, and VRT did go down, and
VRT.
it is still trading down here today. And I mean, these trades may not be over because remember, there's a lot of money managers with serious money that don't trade after hours. I mean, if you're a money manager and you're managing billions of dollars, not trying to move billions of dollars out, after hours, and you're sitting at home with your family. Maybe you're watching some of this stuff. When you get to your desk at 9:30, it might change. So, Vertiv is down 1.4%, but a lot of times you can see follow through after 9:30 when the real money, big money, institutional money comes in. Most of the after hours trading action is retail money. It's smaller, but it can sometimes price in the direction correctly. So I'm not sure. It doesn't sound great for Vertiv either. So I think two losers so far. And, it's hard for me to say this, but like Vertiv won here. I think Tesla's a loser here. And I know the stock is barely trading down, and they continue to, buy it back here. I'm still long it in the long-term portfolio. But I mean, I look at this and just think there's a lot of things. One, they weren't highlighted at all here. I mean, Optimus, I'm not even sure one of their robots were on stage, but everybody this morning is talking about Atlas. It has stole the show here. So Atlas was released multiple videos here. They were there. They were showing Atlas doing work in the factories, and the mobility of these things is second to none. It's like an incredible mobility in the video. So we can't show. We'd love to show you the video here. YouTube finds us immediately if we show any other content. So we have to limit what we can show. But if you just Google the Atlas video, maybe you could post the link to it, or I could find the link to it and post it in the chat. I mean, it's a 2-minute video, and they got 360 rotation. So the robot just standing there, and then it just turns fully like this, and does its work over here with its feet still standing that way. So it can just literally do like a 360 and just spin all the way around. I mean, I was like jaw dropping watching that video. Dang. So, Musk has some work to do here. I still believe Tesla's, going to be maybe the player here. But I tell you, Hyundai, who owns Atlas and obviously Boston Dynamics, is doing some impressive stuff. And they're not only going to be the impressive. There's going to be humanoids and doing different things everywhere here. So it's not just going to be Tesla's world. So I think short term here, I didn't like, the thought of Robotaxi, Nvidia getting involved in 2027. I know the market's shrugging it off, and obviously Hyundai. Let's see what happens when the real money comes in. But somewhat concerning, for Tesla as a Tesla shareholder, that they weren't, looking like they're the player here, at least not at CES.
Well, here's the thing. It's, I said this last night in the STN room. It's like Tesla has had a ton of time to figure out this autonomy thing, like years, like a decade. They haven't, and guess what happens? A big competitor, like the worst competitor in the world, Nvidia, comes in and says they're going to start playing in your yard.
Yes.
I mean, this is a concern. The Nvidia is absolutely the least company that you want to be on the other end of the ring in your industry.
I think so too. I think this is not a nothing burger, and I know the market's saying it's a nothing burger so far, but I think it is a something burger here. So I'd be cautious with Tesla here today. Again, I didn't sell my long-term position here, but you're noting all this stuff. You're just keep noting. And obviously, it's a moving target. What is obvious though from all this, Brentster, is that 2026 is going to be the year of robotics. It's going to be the year of physical AI, like where we're maybe not getting the products, but we're seeing the future. like giving us the glimpse into the future here. Like, 5 years from now,
5 years.
the world
Yep.
may be unrecognizable. There could just
Yeah.
be physical AI everywhere doing things. But, right now we're getting the glimpse in, Caterpillar autonomous equipment, where obviously Serve Robots is there, but there's so many other companies working on all this stuff. And, some flying under the radar as well. And NVIDIA is going to be obviously continuing to be a big part of all of it here. Also, AMD presented later, Intel presented. We have a lot of presentations and we don't have time to sum all those up. But all we can tell you is that this is the week for technology, and you're seeing a lot of these stocks trade higher here with so much excitement around physical AI.
You want to do a quick AMD, Dennis? I have
Do you have the information? Yeah, if you want to.
I have a couple bullets.
Sure.
Lisa Su starting off saying tonight is all about AI, highlighting the AI industry will grow to 5 billion plus people using it daily within 5 years. That's what Lisa Su said last night on CES. She launched the next gen platform for AMD, the Helios. Also unveiled the Ryzen AI 400 series processor. These will start shipping later this month. They did get into physical AI and humanoid. They also did get into space applications. If nothing else from the AMD and the Nvidia presentations, what you can take away is some of the trends, like you're just hinting at, Dennis, that will be approaching consumers this year, which is still AI, of course, humanoids, physical AI, and I think Lisa Su and AMD touched on space a little bit. I think that's another of our big themes for 2026.
Are we looking at then? I'm just want to turn this, and this is a broad analysis of
Yeah.
looking at all the stocks. Are we
Sure.
looking that they like we had the event and now we got a potential sell the news event here? Like you had the build up, you had the presentations, you had some really nice moves yesterday. For me, and what I would be looking at just for these stocks, and we'll just go to the big dog of the big dogs. Nvidia had a really nice move yesterday, and it got as high as 193.63. We haven't been in this area in quite a long time. Just had a nice day, had a weak close, but getting it back. So for me, if you're looking at a barometer, like if this is like, wow, this is the follow through. We've had a great rally from 170 to 190 plus. Let's get through that area. Let's get to 192 and a half, 193. And then also, I would just use like the closing price. It did have a little bit of a weak close yesterday.
Yeah, no, it wasn't great trading action all day yesterday, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which brings us to another thing is, we've got obviously the geopolitical situation with Venezuela and the war trade and oil stocks going all over the place yesterday. Previewing CES, and you have these run-ups and you have different, stocks, really moving off of that. But what was hidden yesterday to a certain extent was the January effect. It really kicked off yesterday. And if you look at stocks that the laggard trade, like Trade Desk, look at this one, TTD. Huge move yesterday. It was the laggard of laggards in 2025. Was up 4.5% yesterday after reversing, on the Friday. And it's funny, it was a little bit of a delayed January effect because of the holiday. Because the first day was on the Friday, and a lot of money managers didn't trade that day. They weren't back. They just took that whole week off. So really, this is like yesterday was kind of felt like the first real day of 2026, even though we had that Friday because it was light volume on that Friday. So let's look, at just some of these moves, like Trade Desk moving, XYZ, which was a laggard all year, had a great day yesterday, moving higher here. You had stocks, like Lucid Technology and Lucid. I know it's had a headline as well, but that was moving higher. And I mean, Under Armour has been moving here, UA coming back, and we had an insider buy more stock of that yesterday here. But there was a lot of stocks that really lagged in 2025, showing a lot of life in 2026. Nike continued to move up. Some of the banks, were really moving yesterday. It was kind of a value rally. But, also on the flip side of that, you had Micron, which has been one of the best stocks, obviously, in 2026, reverse yesterday and closed lower. So you had a pronounced January. SanDisk, reverse yesterday, closed lower. Nvidia, which has been strong, closed lower yesterday. So you did have AMD, same thing. So you did have that January effect where leaders to laggards, laggards to leaders showing up yesterday, very pronounced. Does that continue? Do we just come in and buy the dip? I think the point that you made, Joel, is you now have, the CES and we're in the thick of it now. Stocks always want something to look forward to. What happens when we get to like Thursday, Friday, and they're like, oh, well, nothing really blew me away here. And market expectations are always here. I'm pretty blown away, but market expectations are always higher. Do we get a little hangover from the CES coming? And we're previewing, looking out. But I mean, Nvidia AMD keynotes behind us here now, Intel behind us here too. There's a question mark here, and I think that question mark is, where are we going to lead? Santa Claus rally was down again, did not happen for the third year in a row.
Third year in a row,
0.11% lower. We know it can be an indicator, but it didn't work last year because, obviously the S&P was up 17%. Santa Claus didn't come to town last year either. So I don't put a lot of weight into that, but I do put a lot of weight into catalyst-driven trading. We're into the biggest catalyst season here right now. And, so far, not so good really for Nvidia and AMD reversing yesterday.
Had a nice chat with Mish Schneider on the Stock Trader Network yesterday, and talking to her about the whole, delayed January effect and that. And, and I mentioned, Friday, trading day, 2 choppy weeks, right? With the holiday coming on Thursday, both weeks. And what she likes to use as more of an indicator, and it might not be a bad idea. She likes to look at the first 10 trading days of January and see, as adjustments are made to portfolios, instead of jumping to conclusions after day 1 or day 2, you already have your monthly candles made, right? At the end of the year, you have your yearly candles made. So she wasn't going to jump to any conclusions, based on the price action for Friday or Monday, but she was going to use a little bit of her longer term indicate, 10 days, to us, swing trading, intraday day trading. 10 days is like an eternity, but sometimes if you just, you can wait and digest the information from a little bit longer period of time, it can behoove you. But TTD, we mentioned this, started to make its move. Under Armour,
it was number 1 on our January effect list. And, I don't think it's a coincidence that all of a sudden it has its best day in 3 months on the first, big day of the Monday of 2026, the first Monday of 2026. I don't think it's a coincidence. Chat pointing out more stocks too. UNH, they're all talking about here. UNH was a huge laggard. I know at the back of the half of the year, Warren Buffett helped it out. But I mean, when you look at UNH, where it started 2025, was way up there. Hell, he was trying to go grab the numbers, way up there in the $500 area. 346 was a huge laggard in 2025. I had a great day yesterday. It's up here again this morning. It is Bernstein's top pick for 2026. Woo! They're raising their price target to $444. So that moves here too. So the question, Joel, is like, are these moves like a little phenomenon that we see happen, at the beginning of, 20 January effect, or does it start dictating, more of what this year is going to be? And maybe this year is going to be more of a value market. I mean, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up enormous yesterday, obviously full of value stocks, where you look at, other sectors here, like the Qs really didn't do much yesterday. So could this, be a sustained trend of like, all of a sudden, tech isn't the sexiest group in town?
Tim made some good observations yesterday where in the Mag 7, in those stocks, a lot of the gains were appreciated, by October, November in the year, you had significant declines. So it's really not that much of a diversion from, what we saw in the second half of the year. Value hasn't exactly exploded yet, but, it's building a base. We're looking at dynamics where, we still like our absence of a lot of good data, right? Because of the government shutdown. So we'll be getting more economic data coming out. Earnings. We're not talking about earnings. There's no earnings, right? We're going to be going into Q4 earnings season. So a lot of potential catalysts here in the markets. But it is 8:25, and we're going to throw you a little curveball here. And we are going to bring in our guest today, battling the elements, Kenny Glick. Hit the bid. You know him. Good morning, Kenny. The football mania is over. Your teams are out, right? But, right, Georgia's out, right? James Madison is out, but you're still interested, right?
Kenny, you're on mute. Kenny, you're on mute. We missed it.
So that's how you start the show?
I'm sorry.
He's not feeling well. And
He's
then you
not
got to
feeling
throw
well,
that
and he
at him?
comes on. Okay, run the introduction again.
Sports are fixed. It doesn't. You know what? I'm actually still in denial of what I just watched, especially after targeting the kid. The kid plays his whole life the right way. He gets thrown out of the game, and then Gunnar Stockton, who should file a criminal grievance about that hit that he took. That was one of the worst games I ever watched. You know, again, I'm still in denial. I haven't got to the anger stage, but you know what it is? As a Jets fan, I think it's better to understand that I have no hope, that there is no hope. I don't even root. I don't even watch the Jets anymore. It's better not to think you're going to win and then lose. It's no big deal. But I really thought Georgia was going to go on, but it's okay. The SEC championships, but it kind of got diminished watching Alabama get slaughtered like that. But
okay. All right.
Anyway.
All right. Poor segue. Kenny, a lot of news to start the year, right? Nice price action yesterday. Market doesn't seem willing to give it back today. What is on the Kenny Glick radar here on the third trading day of the year?
All right. Well, you know, a couple of years ago, I started coining the phrase space rockets, robots, quantum, AI chips. And I've added, and if you guys remember, I've been hoarding silver since 2014. So this AGQ thing, I've been buying kilos of silver for the last, decade. I'm a big collector. If you guys notice, I have a bunch of toys and stuff around me. So right now, I've been trading silver, the AGQ, and big fan of drones. If you guys know about JEDI, JEDI, and DRNZ, and what comprises those two ETFs, that's where I've been focusing. I've been doing a lot less trading right now because I'm just letting the market work its magic. We just don't go down. So every time something that you want to buy pulls back, there you go. So, doing a lot less trading and a lot less, wow, this is amazing. A lot of just staring into space, which again, the illusion of trading, people think it's rah, 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 very exciting. It's a lot of sitting around doing nothing,
That's the best. I mean, if you can just sit around and do nothing and make money, I mean, everybody wants to do that. So that's the holy grail right there, Mr. Kenny Glick.
Yeah, so that's where I'm kind of taking my dad. We call him Big Al. Big Al's long-term investor, long the queues from $38, still hasn't sold anything. I tried to hack his account dozens of times and try to get him out. I begged him to sell Oracle. He won't. You know what it is? About 20 years ago, we had a position in Akamai, and I sold calls against it, and the stock rallied 30 points without us, and we got called out. He's still pissed. So no matter what I say to him, he doesn't take my advice. I was like, Dad, you've been in Oracle since the IPO. They just had this monster quarter. This is a definite sell. He's like, wow, the stock just got over 300. I'm like, please, Dad, for the love of God, would you sell something? And he finally gave me credit. He said, son, good call. Maybe I should have sold some of the Oracle. So, Dad, if you're listening, you're the man, but thank you for giving me credit for something. I've been in the industry for 30 years now, but long-term investing, man, my dad proves it. And, just patience and just lots of patience and lots of discipline. Yeah. That's where I'm at right now. And I'm trying to just do less. Less is more in a bull market. And, as a shorter, it really is just it's not a good time to be a shorter. I mean, you can't short anything. I mean, there are spots like, I don't know if you know about this SMX trade that I was in. Oh my God.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, stock went from $3 to 500 and back to 14 in about a couple of weeks.
Holy crap.
There are shorting opportunities, but man, it's just a great market where, you could get rewarded for being irresponsible. That's the only bad thing about it, because, when a trade doesn't go your way, you I'll just wait for it to go back up.
Right.
That'll get your day trading. The day trader will get in trouble with that attitude. But right now, you're being rewarded for every irresponsible thing you could do.
That's exactly what this market is, blindly buying the dip. It's been this way for a long time. I mean, really since 2022. Yeah, we had the blip in April. But if you just held through that January-April pain trade, it came anyway. So you just learned, you know what? I got to suffer for 3 months, but in 3-4 months, I'll have my money back. We haven't been in a prolonged bear market like from 2000 to 2009, when you had a period of time where the market really didn't go up at all. We haven't had that. And I don't know if we're going to have that anytime soon. Like as a trader, you kind of got to just keep going with what's working. And what's working is still buy the dip.
Right. So, I'll ask you a question. Do you think we'll ever have, I think there's just since COVID, right? The rebirth of day trading, as far as I'm concerned, there's so much activity. There's so much going on. Do you think we'll ever have a prolonged market where we just go stagnant for a while? Like, why would that happen? And how could it happen?
World War III. China
No,
invades
that
Taiwan.
wouldn't be like this, Dennis.
China invades Taiwan, and while it may not go like this, it might go straight down on that one. So
Right.
I would say that's the worry. The geopolitical risk situation is the worry here. China sitting over there saying, Trump wants to play risk over in Western Hemisphere. Let's play a little bit of risk over here. Maybe, that could happen.
Right.
But that would be the catalyst to like really, destroy the markets. But I mean, you look at the Venezuela situation over the weekend and you think, oh crap, they're going to turn on the faucet here in Venezuela. This can't be good for oil stocks. Hell, no, oil stocks go way higher. So I mean,
love me some Halliburton. Yeah, love me some Halliburton. Actually, I was in Alcoa for a while. It really is the everything rally. I mean, Alcoa just had a wonderful move too. It's hard to just not want to just sit back and let the market do its magic for you. But I do love nuclear. I like the fact that a lot of the stocks came crashing back down. The rare earths came crashing back down. So USAR, big fan. But really right now, it's the drone stocks. Love the drones. I love these two new ETFs, defense and drones. It's Jedi. It's DRNZ. What's inside there are pretty good stocks. But, the SMR right now, I'm in it right this second. That's been one of my favorite stocks to trade. And, again, as far as day trading is concerned, I've been trading the same stocks. I know the internet loves open. I don't know why, but it's fun to trade. I wouldn't want to own it, but it's fun to trade for sure.
Yeah.
Kenny, I know you've been under the weather. You're coming on the show. Really appreciate it. And before we let you go, I mean, entries are one thing. Exits are another. You have been building a position in something like silver for over a decade. Is the exit plan no plan? Just to ride momentum? Do you try and bring in a longer term VWAP? Because we all know entries are one thing and exits are another. You've had trades before that you've took off too early. You've had trades that you've taken off, perfect. What are you going to, are you in the mindset now? It's like, I'll look at my VWAP, my longer term VWAPs, and let them tell me what to do.
Well, what I'm looking at now is I'm almost like want to hedge the physical that I own. So I've been watching the AGQ. I got a short off on that. When all the hoopla, literally everyone and their mother was calling me about silver. So I had a friend's mom call me. Hey, should I sell my silver set? I was like, oh, maybe we're at an inflection point. But what the miracle of the silver trade was that, I go to these shows and I'm like a young buck. It's all like 75, 80-year-old guys with their coins. And I was telling them, I was like, listen, if this thing could get over 50, we're going to go right to 80.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are like, why? I'm like, because 50 gets you 80. And I was trying to explain that this is something that just happens. It's a financial thing. 50 gets you 80. And I say, watch how quickly we're going to rip through 50 and get to 80. And if you want to start taking profits, do it at 80. I think 80 gets us 120. I am not selling. I'm planning to hand these coins down to my kids. And then hopefully I give them to their grandkids. My nephew and my niece are very, very excited because everything I've been buying them since their birth, I give them a silver coin every year for Christmas. So my nephew was thrilled this year. He couldn't wait to see what I was going to give him this year. I was like, maybe I don't give you something this year. It doesn't work too much. But
give some of those back.
Yeah, I have no exit plan. I'm still buying. I bought some 5-ounce maples the other day. Just I'm paying up. I'm paying up now, but I dig them. I got the 5-ounce maples, so I bought 10 more of these, and I'm just stacking. And if we do crash, I'll hedge again with the AGQ or maybe short some SLV, but just a huge fan. I think we are going to go higher, especially if we can consolidate above that 70 range. I do think we're going to get to that 120. Maybe not as parabolic as we did 50 to 80, but huge fan. It's a big catch-up trade. I'm not thinking, we're going to 4,000 or 5,000, but I have no desire to sell right now. And I bought as early, I just bought those just about a week ago. So it's a lot of fun. It really is. And again, shout out to my wife. We've been battling about when the silver would show up in my house, and she's like, "You buying more silver?" I'm like, "You just bought a bag for $3,000." I was like, "My $3,000 is going to be worth $7,000. Your bag's going to be worthless and sit in the closet somewhere." She's like, "I could sell that bag." Sure you can. Sure you can.
Okay, Kenny. Once again, under the weather, but calm, cool, and collected. Really like your demeanor today. As always, a special guest here on Pre-Market Prep, helping us navigate these interesting. We'll call them interesting markets, right, Kenny?
Oh, it's so much. You know what? I've never been this interested. Actually, I thought I thought I lived this life, and it would never be this exciting ever again. And this is the most excited I've ever been. I might not look like it because I'm dying right now, but
go get some rest.
It is a great market, and yeah, it's fantastic. Thanks for having me on, guys. Good luck to everybody. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Kenny.
And I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Kenny. Always good. He looked good. I was worried because he said he's under the weather.
No, he said, there's been I don't know if it's gotten its way up to you, but there's a wicked flu bug going on.
Oh, no. I've had it, Joel. I had it the entire month of November. You guys know if you've been watching this show for more than 2 months. My entire month of November, I couldn't breathe. I kept going through it. And then, I think I got everything. I'm jinxing myself here now for sure. But, I feel like, I've got everything. My parents are still fighting it. So they've been like day 12, day 14. Dang. I don't know if it's the H1N5 or whatever the hell it is, but there is a wicked bug going around and it knocks you on your butt.
Okay, did we get our full follow-up here on the events over the weekend?
Well, yeah. So and again, so this is, what we have really the stories this week is CES, obviously, but also the story that's going on is this Greenland conversation here. So we know it spooked the market to a certain bit yesterday. And Trump said that, he implied basically that they need Greenland. He did say yesterday we're going to revisit this in a couple of months. So I think that, maybe, cooled off. He's doing other things here right now. But, his statement there, or not statement, but his conversation. I mean, Trump just talks all the time. So you're always watching. It's a moving target. But, it was concerning. And he did say that, on Sunday, I believe it was, that the EU seemed to be okay with it. Well, we have a joint statement from all the presidents of the EU. So we have statement by President of France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Spain, UK, Denmark, and Greenland. And the statement is, I'm not going to read the whole thing here. It's not too long, but talking about NATO and talking about the US being part of NATO. And in the end, it says Greenland belongs to its people. It is for Denmark and Greenland and them only to decide on matters concerning Denmark and Greenland. They also state that the NATO is universal principles and we will not stop defending them. So it's not going to be as simple as US just goes and claims Greenland. It sounds to me like the EU is fully going to defend Greenland. So that's, somewhat of a concern. I don't think this is immediate concern though, because again, Trump sounded like this was something, obviously that says we need it. So it sounds like eventually he's going to try to get Greenland whatever way he can, and EU is going to defend it. But it doesn't sound like Trump was imminent going in and sending troops into Greenland. So something to keep an eye on, but that is the escalated geopolitical risk.
Okay, and the markets are digesting it. We'll just take a quick look. ExxonMobil, wow, that gave you a gap fill yesterday. That's, wow. That was a gift if you had that.
The move on Sunday night was just extraordinary, Joel. I mean, and this just goes to show that, when you have, not markets fully open and on these quasi exchanges overnight, you get some crazy trading action. Chevron at one point in time was up 12%. Exxon was up close to 10%. It gave it all back. The entire thing, Exxon did. Now, Chevron didn't quite fill a gap. Chevron got down, but didn't quite fill it. It was just too much, too fast. Like, does that mean the oil trade is over? Not by any means. But Chevron just doesn't go up. Like we were talking Sunday night. I'm like, that's when I shorted Chevron at 172. I'm like, how many times do you see Chevron up 17 points? You're like trying to figure out maybe like years or ever. I don't know the last time I saw Chevron up 10% on a headline. So this is such a huge oil company. The Venezuela situation probably benefits them, but to immediately price in 10% premium in that was just overdone. And sometimes, you get overshoots and you get opportunities. And as traders, we take advantage of those opportunities.
I think a couple things to take into consideration here are the companies going to want to make this kind of investment if the price of crude still comes down, right? I mean, from what I heard, pulling it out at $14 a barrel over there, heck yeah, man. Bring it on, bring it on. Also, look for updates from from the big oil companies. You got, ExxonMobil. I guess Chevron has the biggest operation over there. And I think one thing too, that if you look at like the overall market response to this, lower oil prices, that's a good thing for inflation.
Well, we didn't see oil. That's the shocking response to this, is that we did not see lower oil prices. But it's not like they're just going to go over there and turn on the faucet. This Venezuela oil, we talked about this being dirtier, not as easy to refine. I think Valero, had a huge pop, and VLO did not pull back at all. So you can see there's certain stocks that definitely benefit, and the refiners probably PSX, Valero, and Marathon, MPC, all directly benefit, obviously, because maybe they can get some cheaper oil and they can refine this. They have ways to do it. The Canadian oil stocks, we talked about that. CNQ was down significantly yesterday, did bounce off the lows. Suncor, another huge Canadian energy company, was down significantly but bounced off the lows. As it's starting to become apparent that it's not imminent that they're just turning on this huge faucet here. It's just not that easy to do. So this is something that's going to take time, and that's why the immediate knee-jerk reaction was sell the Canadian oil stocks and to buy Chevron, Exxon, and then obviously cooler heads prevail and the stocks kind of settled in after that. But a direct benefit is probably to the refiners.
I want to just create some awareness here too. A little bit of a warning. There was some conflicting reports this week. So it seemed like a portion of why XOM, COP, Chevron were up so much coming out of the weekend was that we heard a report that the Trump administration was talking with these companies before or after the Maduro situation. We heard a report yesterday earlier in the morning that Trump said that was not true. Trump administration was not talking with ExxonMobil, ConocoPhillips, or Chevron before or during or after the Maduro situation. Later yesterday in the afternoon, CNBC came out with a report that said Trump is talking with those companies. So just a warning here that we are getting some conflicting info. If you are trading one of these integrated oil names, I think just maybe be careful about some of these headlines that you're seeing.
Let's move back to technology, because last night we said a lot of news was coming out here, and Microchip came out with guidance here, separate from CES. MCHP, if you have that guidance, Brentster, in front of you, can read it to us. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I do. Joel, do you got the chart up there? Yes. Okay, sweet. So company came out with some Q3 guidance. They had guided back at the beginning of November. They had guided their Q3 net sales about 1.11 billion to 1.15 billion. Now, last night, they said they are now expecting Q3 net sales to be around 1.19 billion. The estimate was still down at the high end of that November guidance range, which was about 1.15 billion. So a really nice piece of guidance here from Microchip. However, there wasn't a ton in that press release. It was kind of the number that I gave, and that was kind of it. There was like some qualitative commentary by one of the execs. Wasn't like the most blockbuster piece of guidance I've ever seen, but did move a whole space on this guidance. We also had ON Semi. We also had Texas Instruments, TXN, ST Micro, NXPI, Monolithic Power, MPWR. They all moved higher.
ADI as well.
ADI, Analog Devices. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's important. I mean, this is what we try to do, is like me and Brentster, in the STN room, and obviously even on this show, we're trying to give you guys lists. So when you have a stock that's, linked, which other stocks are moving, it's important to understand that, because there's opportunities when you see all of a sudden microchip gap up $3. It's like, what else is that going to move? Okay, well, we got a list here. We know On Semiconductor very much moves with microchip. STM very much moves with microchip. NXPI very much moves with microchip. ADI, ON, Texas Instruments. So, just having those lists ready, that's where, the definition of luck, where preparation meets opportunity. That's what we're trying to do more than anything, is just being prepared. Because we can look and say, oh, the microchip chart looks pretty. It was bound to raise guidance because the chart looked so good. Maybe that's the case, but I tell you, the other stocks start moving off of that. So, just, adding other tools to your toolbox is going to make you such a better trader. My initial reaction is, when I see a major company moving, what else is going to move on that right away? Because you have the initial algo reaction that's taking all the alpha away from that headline, but they're not as quick on all the peers. I mean, some are direct and some you can think of and the algos figure them out directly, and some are not. And there is a lag in there, and there is opportunities in there. And that's what we try to highlight, on this network.
For the price action in this, up $3. Brent gave me the news. When the news hits, you get the immediate reaction. You get the pre-market level. Right now, I'm just going to give you some zones, and looks like we're at 70 here. Looks like we're pretty steady at 70. So you hold a bit off the open. You always look for follow through. You did have a series of 4 highs between 71 and 72. So that was an area after you broke down in July. But if you're banking on a gap fill here, then you got all the way up to 73.09. But just to move where you were under $50 back at the end of December, you had a nice rally up, nice day yesterday ahead of this. Let's see if a little bit of supply comes out in this. If you want to chase it and take it up, gap fill, look for that. But right now, the information that you're getting from the pre-market is confirming with some nice daily levels.
A lot of ratings here, and I think we could start going into those now here. We are going to start a rating segment here. Normally be after a guest, but Kenny came on early here, so we covered a few other stocks in there too. But, let's start with the bad news. We'll start with the downgrades here first. And we know yesterday and today are two of the biggest earnings days or ratings days of the year, because the analysts are getting their notes out there. And there's a pile here. So we got Baird downgrading Wells Fargo to underperform. Baird also downgrading KeyBank to underperform. Two banks, obviously big banks, getting downgraded here this morning. I'm just going to fly through and give you a bunch of these, and then you can pick which ones you want to look at closer. Arete downgrading AT&T to sell, also downgrading CMCSA, which is Comcast, to sell. Evercore downgrading MetLife and Globe Life, METNGL. We've got, continuing on this ratings parade here, Wells Fargo downgrading DHI just to equal weight. We've got Evercore commenting on some of the oil stocks. They are downgrading CNQ, Canadian Natural Resources. They're downgrading BP and downgrading Halliburton. UBS downgrades Lennar to neutral. There's a pile of other ones too, so I'm just glossing over them. If they're not widely traded, I didn't cover them. BofA downgrading Frontier Holdings, ULCC to underperform. Those are the downgrades. Let's quickly go through some of the upgrades here too. So we've got, wow, there's so many upgrades here today. UBS upgrades EAT to buy. UBS upgrades Trex, the boards, plastic boards, TREX to buy. Jefferies upgrades BC to buy. Cantor Fitzgerald upgrades Microchip. We know that's probably a follow through off of the raised guidance last night. Cantor also upgrading KLAC to overweight. Arete upgrading ServiceNow to buy. There's a stock I'll want to look at in a second, because that one has just been murdered here. So I wonder if that could get a kick started. Continuing on, CORZ, BTIG upgrading them to buy. Medtronic upgraded William Blair to outperform. Schlumberger upgraded Evercore. ALLY upgraded to outperform. JP Morgan upgrading Mobileye to neutral. Wow, there's so many. Citi upgrades Crystal Biotech, a stock we used to trade KRYS, haven't looked at in a while. North Coast Research upgrading Axon, AXON. Deutsche Bank, this is probably one of the bigger ones of the day, upgrading Shake Shack to buy. UBS also upgrading a couple regional banks, Fifth Third and CMA, both upgraded to buy. Next Power, Northland upgrades them to outperform, and Lee Rink upgrades CERT to outperform. Not a lot of like superstar names out there, but a lot of ratings to look at. Let's start with Shake Shack, baby, because the stock has been beat up. Probably one you think about the January effect for. I mean, it wasn't down that much on, well, actually it was. It started 130, so it did have a pretty rough 2025. Had a little bit of life yesterday with the January effect. We've talked about leaders to laggards, laggards to leaders. Shake Shack, Deutsche Bank, upgrading them to buy. Thoughts, Joel?
Well, boy, I'll tell you, you could take these ratings, with a grain of salt. You can use them as a contrarian, but you look at just like the rating in Costco yesterday, right, from Mizuho. So in different environments, I think that these stock, the ratings could hold different significance. But when I look at something like Shake Shack, right, and man, just the way it's been killed, the way it's down, trying to get back to the 50-day. I don't think these are ones that you really want to stand in front of. I don't think I necessarily want to go out and like buy it up, $2. But if you're looking for a catalyst on a day and something like this happens, I think you kind of gotta have to go with the flow on this one. You're coming up on the 50-day here at 86.56. You could focus on your December high for another target at 88.50. But I think with the analyst ratings for the most part is like there could be a fade. Well, there's going to be a fade off the open. But if there's going to be continuation from the call, and we could just use the Costco example here,
Yeah.
right? Costco, boy, opened up right at the previous day's high, right? Actually, it opened up at the previous day's high, gave you just a slight dip. But then when it ripped through that 863.10, got up all the way to 878.77. I think the other thing too is, trading these short-term and long-term is the compiled effect of the analyst ratings. You get one guy in there, the Costco, and then you get another guy, and then you get a big dog in there. And a lot of times, I mean, we've seen it with stocks. I can remember back a few years ago, McDonald's. I mean, just like every other day, someone was coming out with it. So maybe one analyst. Brett, you got some breaking news for us?
So I'm seeing a headline: China studying tightening rare earth exports to Japan. Seeing that on Financial Juice, watching USAR. I'm watching MP just spiked about 40 cents. Also, critical metals, criminal CRML. Just a little heads up. Wanted to get that out there. METC also looks like maybe moving on that.
Rare earths moving. They started moving. So again, you could say, oh, MP Materials, that's not a January effect, but it kind of was. You want to know why? You can't look at where they start the year. You got to look at what have you done for me lately. And, MP Materials had a hell of a bad last quarter. The stock was over $100, closed at 50 right on the lows. And then 2 days, bang, bang, we start going up here again. I'm long MP Materials in the swing trading account here. It's going well. It's up to $61 here right now. But I mean, there's just so many of this, like January effect showing up in different ways, because a lot of people just look and say, okay, I'm going to look at all the stocks we're down the most in the year, and I'm just going to buy all those in percentages. But some of these stocks are actually up on the year. We're really bad in the last 3 months. There's people sitting on a lot of losses, so they could have tax loss selling too. So it's not just enough to just look at what they've done on the year. What have you done for me lately? And MP Materials is the classic example. It's stock a cut and a half in the last quarter. So there definitely could be a January effect to the upside on this, and we are seeing it in MP Materials right now.
Okay. Which one was still in the red? Was it criminal? Yeah, that's down to
CRML.
Yeah.
Oh, I got CRM up there, but CRML.
Okay.
You're missing
Maybe
your L.
not
Joel.
now.
There
No. Yeah. Another thing too. This is a little bit of a lower price stock here too. So, could see some action in that with traders liking to trade lower price, and a little bit of let's go with the daily volume in this one just to check. After that, just as I was just finishing up, on the analyst ratings and stuff. The other thing to keep into consideration is the tone of the market on the day. Like today, not right now, everything we're down a handle. a quiet overnight range, certainly not willing to give back a lot of the gains from yesterday. So a lot of times the temperament of the market can also influence the effect of an analyst rating.
Brentster?
Let's say thanks to our wonderful sponsor, Hive Digital Technologies, in the bottom right corner on screen right now, a little overlay. There's a QR code. You can scan that on your phone. It'll take you over to hivedigitaltechnologies.com. Triple D is serving as a nice model right now for how to scan that. You can also click the description in. You can also click the link in the description of this YouTube video. This show is brought to you by Hive Digital Technologies, global leader in green power data centers for Bitcoin mining, high performance computing, and AI, operating with nearly 0.5 gigawatt of renewable energy. Hive was on track, starting Q3 of last year, to capture 3% of the world's Bitcoin production by the end of last year. Want to say thanks again to Hive Digital Technologies.
All right, we traded up at $3 in Hive. Just finish up on some of the corporate news here, and a lot of times when the stock is in a prolonged downtrend, you look for a catalyst, right? We got the catalyst a few days ago in Novo Nordisk, getting another nice bump up today. Of course, the stock has had a lot of reaction trading overseas here, but decline, needed a catalyst, got a catalyst.
Well, and this is something that we talked about and we've been talking about here is one, valuation on Novo. So let's just go, and compare here because we've done this research in the STN room. This is why we took Novo as a long. I'm long it from $48. And, you're looking at this trading 15 times earnings. You can compare it to Lilly, which is Lilly is trading obviously at, waiting for it, 51 times earnings. Wow. So on a forward basis, Lilly is lower, but so only at 32 times earnings if you're looking at the forward basis here. So, but in any regard, Novo is trading at least at half the valuation Lilly is. Well, Novo just got first to market with the oral pill for weight loss. They're first to market. That was a huge edge. And it gapped up that day when they got the approval, and it was deserved. And then it pulled back and people started forgetting about it, but now they're shipping. Like now they're getting it out there. The pill's going out there here. So I keep saying, like, if you could take a pill and it's almost as effective as a shot, why the hell are you going to stick yourself in the needle all the time? So I think it's huge for Novo. I think the valuation is attractive. I think the value trade is back in vogue. It's like all the ducks are in a row for Novo right now. I'm up 10 points, and I don't know if I'm chasing it up here, and it just ran, 10% in 2 days. But on dips, I think Novo ends up going higher here. I think we're just in a different type of market here too, and I'm going to keep reiterating that. Is 2025 was tech, let's go. Value was forgotten until the final couple of months, but value has turned it around. Value's turned it around, and it's continuing into 2026. Dow Jones Industrial Average up huge yesterday, despite the Qs not being up at all. So, this market is now broadening out, and it's value stocks that are turning. Low PE is cool again. So Lilly having a terrible day yesterday, nosebleed PE, Novo low PE. Obviously, it's news driven here, but we see this across the board. All the banks strong yesterday. People talking about Citigroup. Citigroup just having a huge day yesterday. What do these stocks all have in common? Like, what's Novo have in common to Citigroup? The PE is low, 12 times forward earnings. Citigroup's trading at. So this is what you're seeing here happen, especially in the last quarter of last year, but into this year as well, is low PE is cool again. My long-term portfolio, loving it.
Their warning shot yesterday in the Lilly. That's a warning candle here. It had a nice consolidation. You could see someone or a group of investors trying to wiggle out, between 1080. Look at all that between 1080 and 1088, or no, between 1080 and 1089, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 highs in the same area. So that just shows a group of investors, large investors, trying to wiggle out of position. What was probably tricky about this one is you had the breakdown day on that would be Friday, but it came back with some life yesterday, but came right back to the area. I'm just looking over here from the price action at the end of November when you got started with that big red candle. This is actually a bigger red candle. Look how many down days in a row that you had. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 down days in a row. So one important thing, technical analysis, you can pick your levels, but streaks, consecutive days. How many times have you seen the SPY or a stock go up 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days in a row? Let's see if Lily trading up $4 here in the pre-market. Let's see if perhaps is on a way to another losing streak.
Freedom Capital just went nuts ringing the register here, and I just wanted to give the note here because they just downgraded every single stock to sell. Chevron downgraded to sell, Halliburton downgraded to sell, PSX downgraded to sell. Well, 3 of them downgraded to sell. SLB downgraded to hold. So that's just PSX downgraded to sell. I don't know if I said that one too. So Freedom Capital ringing the register on this, which is interesting. I mean, if you think about it here, it's conflicting. Like I look at oil and I think, oh yeah, we're in a low PE market. This is, these kind of stocks. And, if we're getting into, troublesome increased geopolitical risk, it probably drives oil higher. But if they turn on that faucet in Venezuela, oil prices could actually go lower here. Like the common sense trade is that all of a sudden Venezuela oil pumping out everywhere here, even though it's sludgier and, harder to refine, probably brings oil prices down. I don't know if that's necessarily good for all these oil companies here. So that is something to think about here. So I wouldn't necessarily just say you're coming in here and jumping in and all these oil stocks are screaming buys. Jury's still out here a little bit here because the common sense reaction here says maybe, you shouldn't be buying, Chevron, Exxon up 10%, when you're going to turn on the faucet.
Yeah, that's our buddy Jay Woods over there and his crew. Very interesting move. Just a final note here. Look at your reaction to your stocks. That the Oxy reaction was absolutely
terrible.
Horrible.
Warren is
horrible.
Warren doesn't care he's retired, but holy crap, that was a bad pick.
That was a bad reaction. I mean, you got up to that area over 43, a big, thick stock like that. Think about how much volume it takes to move something in the regular session. Opened up 16 cents from its high of the day. 43 was look at all these pokes over. You don't think someone was looking to nail 43 here? Well, they decided to nail 42 and a half, 42. You came back down. You actually, wow. It went red by $2.
No, it was an awful. And Oxy, like I had it overnight on a hedge, and I was able to get out on the Sunday night trade at 44 and a half.
That's
which is crazy. You won't see that on the charts, but that's your Sunday night trading action, which just goes nuts sometimes. And they were just buying, give me oil stocks, oil. And you know what? You were wrong because you're going to get them cheaper. Don't chase, folks. If you learn anything from this show, chasing stocks on a Sunday night in an illiquid quasi exchange, not a great thing to do.
Yeah, off news too. Okay. All right. Still quiet session here. Going between red and green here. Let's see if the bulls are as perky off today's open as they were. Get some follow through that pre-market high, which is a little bit lower than Monday's high, folks. Thanks for joining us. Hope we provided you some good information on this pre-market prep show. Back with you all